Hey guys, Ronan Will. We're back with another painting video. This time we are doing Leslie, from the original Star Trek series. If you remember last week, we did all of the characters from the Kirk group. This is the ones from Spock, not Spock, Scotty. I even was like, no, it's not Spock in my head. Anyway, Leslie here is a very odd character. So most characters are defined by their colors, their color scheme, like, you know, blue shirt, red shirt, blah, blah, blah. Leslie, he has worn all the different color shirts. He was in a red shirt, a blue shirt, and a yellow shirt. Now, most of the episodes that he was actually involved in later on was him wearing a red shirt. So that's what I ended up opting to paint him in. Not to mention, he is the only character, from what I can tell, that got killed off. Like, I feel like he's had the worst luck. And I can't tell if it might be it's just they kept reusing the actor, so that's why he's this person, or what. I'm looking at the fan articles about him now. He's a lieutenant security officer. Eddie Paskey was the actor who played him. Served on the USS Enterprise for 5 years during the 5-year mission. Starship first crossed the galaxy barrier. So it looks like one of his first appearance was in the first season. That's not what I wanted to look at. So according to this, his character first appeared when they crossed the galactic barrier. I actually remember watching this episode. It was a long time ago, but if I remember correctly, he goes insane in this one. In this one, he's wearing a blue shirt. It looks like. Here it is. Where no man has gone before. Yeah, and then later on, he can be seen as everything from just kind of a pilot controlling the navigation station to literally being attacked, and again, he was a medical officer, like assistant. I really feel like this guy was kind of just, they decided to name him. But the actor just played multiple different characters on the ship. I feel like he's also one of the characters that got that reputation for the red shirts. If you're not sure what that is, basically, in the original Star Trek, if you were a red shirt character, you were a security officer most of the time, but you would also be the one killed off in the episode. They changed it up post the first series. That's why command track for Next Generation are red-shirted, because they wanted to get rid of that stigma. So I kind of haven't talked about what I'm using as far as paints, just because it's been pretty standard. It was wolf gray and plate mail for the floor and the gun, black for the boots, and then for his pants, they are necrocloak, and each one will be highlighted later on. Then I use dragon red for his shirt, just because that's the darkest red I've got. And I've been trying to use less and less. Like I'm still using the toner by Army Painter, but I'm also finding that I like the look of the hand painted shading. So the Goblin Gold, or the Greedy Gold, sorry, goes around the cuffs to indicate their rankings. And then, of course, his little Star Trek badge, which is funny because it's raised like in Next Generation, but they actually were just stickers, essentially, that went on their shirts to show that they were part of the Federation. Not that you couldn't tell, because all of them were dressed the same, as well as they were primarily the only humans in the show. Anyway, again, I'm using that newer paint that doesn't really use shader to add the color. It actually has just a ton of different transitional colors that you're supposed to use. So this is the first of the 4 characters in this box, and it is kind of funny that this box has 3 characters out of the 4 that are all in red shirts. Again, he is the only character that ends up dying, quote unquote dying, or maybe he doesn't, I don't know. I distinctly remember watching this show and watching this character die off a couple of times now. And then that is just fur brown. All the paints except for the skin tone, of course, are Army Painter. Just kind of our standard. We are getting kind of low on Army Painter paints, and we are considering branching out and trying some other brands, hence the skin tone. But we'll see. I do really rely on my Army Painter. It's just what I learned how to paint with. Alright, so now that he's dry, it actually that day took a long time to get him dry. So I had to wait about 2 hours before I could even actually do a dark tone on him. Again, this is just a simple dark tone. I cover everything except for the hands and the face, basically anything that's not skin tone, with Army Painter, with the toner, the dark tone, and once it dries, it basically sets in the recesses, which if I wanted to drag out this video, I could actually just sit and hand paint into each of the recesses, but I don't like doing that. I also am still operating on a deadline. Again, this is, if you guys haven't seen the earlier episodes, these are presents for my father, who's a huge Star Trek fan. So we decided we were going to keep up with the miniatures in the game that we bought him for Christmas this year. Star Trek. Why did I almost say Star Wars? Star Trek Away Missions, which is just kind of funny because it's based off of Next Generation, not off of the original Star Trek series. So to see original series characters, it's a little jarring. But then again, I mean, they also released a Captain Picard pack, and he is one of the original antagonists because he's the first set was Next Generation and the Borg. So yeah, so it was just kind of it's funny because he was the main leader of the Borg in the original set. Now you can play as him, have him fighting himself, I guess, technically. I still have yet to actually get a chance to test out the game. Might do a game review, which I haven't done one of those in a long time. Depending on how it goes. If we even have time to play it when we go visit. But yeah, so the first thing I do after I dark tone these guys is I go over it with the base color again, and then I mix in the highlight color, which in this case, I don't know why it turned out so light. I'm okay with it because it blends very nicely, but normally I'm trying to get it just slightly past the base tone. It was this mixed with it was Necrocloak mixed with just a touch of ash gray. I want to say ash gray. Yeah, ash gray. I guess I mixed too much of the ash gray into the base, but that's not too bad because you can kind of feather it out, which is what I do on this next step, which I just take pure ash gray and I shake the camera around, and then I put a line, and then I end up just feathering it all out as much as I can, and that gives it that nice like transition effect without actually having to sit there and like be very slow on the transitions. But there we go. For his boots, it was black mixed with Necrocloak, which is still pretty much black, and then just pure Necrocloak, which again is pretty much just black. All right, again, this is the dragon, just dragon red. I think that's all they call it, is dragon red. But yeah, so we go over the whole model. And leaving, you can see I left some of the darkest dark tones in there. The hardest part with these models is because their arms are not technically, like, they're not part of the original mold. You get these harsh lines between the shoulder and the arm. So I kind of just try and squeeze as much paint into there as possible just to get rid of the seam. I guess technically I could just leave the seam since it is a shirt. Hindsight 2020, you know. So it's weird. His coloring looks a lot better on this camera than it does in real life, which is why you'll see I'm like spending so much time on these spots. And I end up going back over it in red again. See? That said, I also think I was going over it because it was getting darker while it was drying, which tends to happen. Next, I mix it with Army Painter Pure Red. This gives it a little bit of brightness. Doesn't brighten it up a ton, but enough that you can definitely see the difference. Maybe not so much in the painting video. Actually, no, that is very bright. Never mind. You can definitely see the difference. Again, it's not as dramatic as this in real life, but for this video, it's actually kind of nice to see it that much. The other trick, again, is trying to get rid of a lot of that dark tone that needs to be hidden, because you don't want these large splashes of dark tone across his body on flat surfaces. So but after this, I just do pure red on the highest points, which is mostly his shoulders, his chest, and the outer edge of his shirt on his arms. So, not too bad. Again, Leslie is one of those characters that is kind of forgettable. It pretty much lists every episode, and I'm pretty sure he dies in almost every one of these episodes he's in. Yeah, I'm reading some of the names of these, and I've seen a lot of these episodes, and I'm like, yeah, didn't he die? I thought he was not there. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. All right, now we can move on to the collar again. I don't actually do any highlighting on the collars. I realized that when I was painting. Next, I touch up the gold around the wrist and on the plate. Also, something that I don't bother highlighting because there's not much to do with it. But from here, we should start working on, if I'm not mistaken, we're working on the hands now. Yeah, so again, I do the base tone that I used, and then I start mixing some paints. I haven't found a good balance that I like of skin tone for this. I am honestly considering going back to Army Painter just for a little while till I figure out how to fix it. So this is us mixing. Again, I feel like I could pull out this whole highlight, like adding the lighter and lighter colors of skin tone, and just like you wouldn't really miss anything because it's mostly me still learning the coloring. You can see I hate it so much, guys. I really need to work on my skin tone with this new system. He doesn't look too bad now, and now I'll ruin it. I'm not even going to lie, guys. I end up now just doing, because I'm doing what I usually do for the other paints, which is base plus highlight. And as you can see, especially on the face, I kind of just bleached out his face. I end up going back and trying to fix him later on. And finally is Leslie's hair, because his freaking hair is just as much of a pain in the butt as the rest of him. Oh, nope. Hang on. I'm adding some... I am making him way pastier. I mean, I guess in a way it's a good thing I'm making him pasty because he's kind of a zombie. It's not terrible. In the moment, I think it looked worse to me than it did. And then I redo the hair. I should have done my usual dry brushing. Instead, I'm doing the poke technique, which is basically I'm putting a glob of, or a thick layer of paint, using my fingers to pull off some of the paint. I end up eventually just dark toning over his hair again, and leaving it because I kind of liked the darkness. You can see it lost so much detailing in the hair. So, last but not least, we're doing some touch-ups on the silvers. There's not a lot of silver on him, luckily. Perfect. And then we should be moving on to the lettering. This is electric blue that we use on all the letters and the outer lip of the miniature. But this is pretty much it, guys. We are nearing the end of Leslie. I actually decided I'm going to leave the metallic like surface with that tarnished look. In my opinion, I kind of like it. It definitely makes the letters pop even more. Okay, and then I have to. Oh, I'm going and touching up the neck again. The neck frill. I've been watching too much Jurassic Park stuff, guys. His collar. Anyway, and then we touch up the outer edge with the blues. Excellente. Almost there. And that is it. Yay, that's Leslie. And now, on to the glamour shots. As soon as I remembered to do his eyes. That's right, I forgot his eyes. I was going to stop the recording and cut it here, but I shouldn't. Alright, and 1 dot. 2 dot. I made him look super derpy the first time I did it. I do end up fixing him later, which you'll see in 3, 2, 1. Swap. There we go. His left eye is still a little weird at a certain angle. You can see where I redid the dark tone just a little bit thinner on it. But yeah, that is Leslie, guys. We've got 3 left. We've got Aurora, we've got, Ahura, Scotty, and Sulu. So the actual characters, not this guy. Alright, so anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, Ronan Will. Later.